Ugh. Post-move's going great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm so ill. I'm so ill.
At least it waited until you got into the new place rather than, like, happening during the days you were physically moving stuff.
Well, it did for me. It hit Fee first.
Oh,
They,
no.
and, you know, because I'm, like, disabled and that, they had to do pretty much most, like, all of it. While this ill, that was, you know, what, like 2 weeks now or something. And
Oh no.
I thought I'd gotten away with it, with being ill. And then yesterday, it just suddenly came on. And now I'm
Dying?
very much dying. Very much dying. And in a lot of pain as well, because I had a wrestling booking on Sunday for Pinfall Pro. And I didn't even do I worked a lot. I was in 2 matches and a segment that day. But I didn't do any big bumps or any big stunts or anything. But my entire shin, it feels like, is just one big bruise.
Oh no.
Both my knees bruised to hell. Like I re-aggravated the bruising that I had from the Kid Bandit match. That all like flared up again. I've got bruises all over my body. I did 4 moves across both matches. The rest of it was just a lot of like me throwing strikes and stuff, which is not intensive, but
It's remarkable how much more easily we bruise as we age.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Paper
more
thin.
and more I resemble a fruit, an old fruit. But yeah, I'm dying, and no one sent me any like flowers or
How dare they?
sorry for your loss cards. I really can't afford this either. I've got like deadlines coming up on the Vampire Survivors book. The house still needs a lot of rearranging and unpacking. And I'm trying not to worry about it because the stress will just make me sicker. Like I slept all through yesterday, and then I watched a 2-hour video by Sarah Z on Homestuck this morning. I've never read Homestuck, but that's just where I'm at. Like just anything that's on that'll distract me.
Homestuck is bracing for a cultural revival. I don't know if you're aware, but it's getting an animated adaptation happening. Prepare for all of the worst parts of that fandom to reignite themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, I did get to like what she'd done. Sarah was like chronicle a brief sort of potted history of it. Didn't dedicate, because it was trying to encompass everything. It didn't really focus the bulk of the video on the fandom at its height, because unfortunately, as with a lot of stories, much of the history happens long after the height. Hello, I'm Stephanie Sterling. But from the little I saw, it was an interesting group of people.
I look, if that video mentioned anything about that community, I'm guessing it probably brought up the Sharpie bath.
It brought up the Sharpie bath.
Yeah, of course it brought up the Sharpie bath, yeah.
Yeah, very briefly. Didn't go into much detail, but did bring up the girl that had a bath with grey body paint and vodka to try and dye herself grey like a Homestuck character.
Yeah, I'll say this as someone who was going regularly to anime conventions during the height of Homestuck's community popularity. There was an era where any convention you had to constantly be on guard for people painted in poorly sealed grey body paint that would transfer onto your clothes and or outfit, who knew that would happen, who would come and hug strangers because they thought it was funny to get paint on them.
Jesus.
That was like a regular thing you had to be like fucking laser focused looking for in all directions for a while.
I married a Homestuck fan. I didn't know they were a Homestuck fan when we met, And then I saw the tattoo, and I was like, oh, well, all right, well, she's great, so I guess we're doing this.
Look,
but she was
Homestuck...
hanging in those convention circles.
Homestuck is a culturally important work of art that sure did break out of containment quite severely. Welcome to Podquisition. We talk about video games here. We're doing a tight hour this week for various reasons, including the fact that Steph is dying. Do you want to tell us what you've been playing this week? Start spilling out your things, what you've been doing.
Yeah. I've been going through the BioShock games.
I have been thinking about doing that too, actually, weirdly.
It's worth it. It's worth it. I started with BioShock 2. I'm not sure why, probably because it's the one I've played the least. And over time, I've seen that one be put forth by a lot of people as, like, the best one.
I think mechanically it feels like the best one. I
think playing it this time around, I'm absolutely on board with that from the mechanical standpoint. Yes. Better than Infinite, better than the first one. They really nailed it. Not just in terms of like improving things in the first game, like, you know, finally being able to hold a gun and a plasmid at the same time, but just the way the environments are designed for combat and the way combat comes at you. I know some people kind of found it a bit tedious, but I really like the little sister gathering moments.
Mm-hmm.
I am a bit frustrated that the AI seems to always know the one place I failed to cover with traps and then sends all the splicers down that one route. So I've got a shitload of rivet traps to pick back up and a whole bunch of cyclones that are just whizzing around doing nothing. But the idea of like shoring up the defenses before getting the little sister to extract the atom and all of that is very good. Yeah, the story is weak, I think, in some big regards. My main problem, and I had this problem when I reviewed it way back in the day, is the whole remember the new guy thing of, oh, here's this character that was massively influential and you never heard a reference to them at all in the first game. And you can only wallpaper over that with, oh, it was suppressed, like, so much. Just because of how important they made not just her, but like Eleanor Lamb, or rather Sophia Lamb, the main villain. You know, they made her so important to Ratchet's history, and it wasn't just her. There were other characters as well that were made for that game. And it could easily have just been explained that she came from nothing and rose up post-Ryan to have the position she had. They didn't have to bake her into the backstory as much as they did.
Or
and
even
I think
baking her into the backstory just in a slightly more subtle sense, because there is absolutely no reason why somebody couldn't seize the reins of power properly positioned. They just overblew her importance early on.
Yes.
And part of the problem is the whole, like, John Galt, like, everybody is the very, you know, best of their whatever in people policy thing. So she has to be super special to even be there. And that's kind of one of the main conflicts that you run into narratively there doing that.
Yeah. Well, there is that issue as well, because you have the whole, if everyone's there is super special, then who are these people that are clearly, like Peach Wilkins in the first one, like, what was he there as an exemplar of? And they did sort of dance upon that in the first one, where like Frank Fontaine's like, well, someone has to scrub the toilets.
Right.
Which they never delve into much, probably because of the undertaking it would be. But with this one, it's like, the bit that always stands out to me as particularly egregious is an audio diary that is this big public debate between Ryan and Sophia. And it's just such a big deal, such a huge event, that the idea that these things that were apparently happening regularly just aren't There's no evidence of them at all. And then we're seeing posters, like old posters up on the wall with like, Rapture's best and brightest, and it's showing characters in it mixed in with the older ones as if they've always been there when they weren't. And I'm sure many people can look past it. It's just one of those little incongruities that just sort of, it just sticks in my mind. It just stays there like a tick.
Yeah, I get that. I was having this same problem. I've been rewatching Modern Doctor Who recently, and there is a very similar issue where a character's just like, oh, and here is my best friend who was always there all of the time. And we haven't brought up for 3 seasons, but they were always really there. It bugs the hell out of me too.
Yeah. It's not something that can't be done well enough, but it can't be done with the whole where you've got to suspend disbelief to the point where there's this massively important character. You've got to be careful about how important you make them to the backstory. And I think they overdid it with Lamb, who isn't a bad villain at all. And there are elements of the story that are still really good, like, the Alexander the Great is a fantastic character into. Sinclair is a really good character, the guy that's sort of in the Atlas role, where the twist turns out to be that there is no twist with him. He isn't a dickhead. Which I take umbrage with one of the big criticisms that people have had against the story. People were disappointed that there was no big twist in 2, and I hate that. I hate this where people confuse a twist for good writing. The plot to BioShock 2, once we get past all the incongruous bits, is pretty good. Like, there are some really good emotional beats in there. The final act, I think, has some really nice storytelling. And the idea that people felt it wasn't as good because there wasn't a big, oh, would you kindly moment, or a big moment with Atlas and all of that. I just think it diminishes good writing in games. I hate this idea that something needs a twist just because one of the games had one. And I think that's also why I think Minerva's Den, the DLC for 2, is a bit overhyped. I don't remember ever playing it before now, but I did play it, and all I was hearing from people before I played it was, it's the best thing ever. It's the best DLC. It's got the best BioShock story in it. And I wasn't wowed by it at all. I was not impressed with Minerva's Den very much. It had some cute, like, little bits, like the turrets having new weapons, and the new ion laser weapon was cool. But otherwise, it just seemed to be a lot more BioShock to me, and nothing really standing out. And then the ending has an big twist TM, and I can't help but feel like a lot of people again have confused a twist with phenomenal writing. And it's a good twist. It's a good twist. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like people overhype it just because they think twists are what makes a story good. No, I don't know. But I am playing the first one now, which I thought would actually be really difficult to get into after 2 because of the improvements. It's not that bad. Obviously, the hacking with the Pipe Mania gameplay gets old, and having to swap between the plasmid and the gun is annoying. But atmospherically, story-wise, it's still really good. I know over time some people will argue it's aged quite badly, and it's got the whole kind of thing of TV Tropes has a page called Seinfeld is Unfunny, where a lot of people look at Seinfeld and think it's shit, only because so many sitcoms copied it after that it looks old-fashioned. So comparing BioShock to immersive sims and stuff that came after, or, the System Shock games that came before it, but certainly anything that sprung off from BioShock and kind of benefited from gameplay improvements and industry-wide evolution, can make BioShock look worse in retrospect, but I think it still holds up, personally. That might be a function of me having played it when it first came out and played it off and on over the years, so it's very much ingrained into my experiences as a game player. But playing it through again now, I'm enjoying it a lot. I am still... It's really a really fun time to me.
Nice.
Yeah. I've not kicked up Infinite yet. I'm going to do that after. That one's going to be interesting because that one, the way history has turned on that one. And I will say, I gave that a fucking 10 out of 10 back in the day. I was a bit of a different person back then and not as in tune with sort of. I didn't kind of have the same. I didn't appreciate media the same way as I do now. And that's not me just trying to duck responsibility for what I did. But I am going to be very interested as to how I view it this time. Whether I will have a lower opinion of it or in the same way, that I came up with BioShock because I played Infinite at the time and loved it, whether I'll still think it holds up. But that one's going to be interesting because that one went so quickly from, oh, it's great to, oh, it's problematic to where we are at with it now, where it's almost a joke. Like, that game is almost a punchline these days as the sort of epitome of the up his own ass game director and bad storytelling and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm going to be very interested as to how I view that one now, especially with the backlash.
I'm very interested in how you feel about it, too, because it's one of those where the backlash to the narrative I found frustrating because I thought that, I always felt like they were trying to judge it from a different perspective than the developer necessarily was trying to convey. I feel like Infinite is a story about trying to make art and, particularly video games as a specific art form. I feel like that's a lot of what that is trying to do more than be some sort of comprehensible alternate history thing. And that, but I'm probably going to play it again now too, because it's been a long time. And like from a gameplay perspective, only thing I remember is that like the hook thing didn't work for me at all. But that's
the ridiculously over the top violent hook.
Yeah.
Which again has been criticized over time. Like I've seen so many people slag off the violence of it, which that's something I don't think I'm gonna massively agree with. Especially because it becomes integral to the character of Booker.
Right.
The sort of easy ability to be violent. But we will see. We will see. Yeah. And then after that, I'll do Burial at Sea, which I've only ever played through that one once. And the only main bit I remember was how annoyed I was that it showed the death of Dr. Sushong. Simply because it compacted so many things that the first game presents as happening over a period of time. It compacts everything into more or less one night. And that really annoyed me. I was watching it, and I'm like, on the one hand, I understand how cool it would be to see that. On the other hand, it was better as a thing you hear. I feel it was just more evocative, and also I never got the impression that happened at the same time everything else was going on. And it just kind of, to me, took away a sense of history that the first game had, where it was building this backstory of Rapture, and then the DLC just says, oh no, it all happened at once, so that you can see it all. I found that a bit tacky, but again, it's been many years. I don't think I played Burial at Sea since it was new, or maybe a few months or a year out, so we shall see. That's been my main thing.
What about you, Conrad? What have you been playing this week?
I have only played one thing, and I don't have a lot to say about it because it's a very short thing, but my wife has been playing a bunch of these like little indie horror things that she finds on itch. And there's a particular developer of these named Spring Rabbit that I think people should check out. We played a game of theirs this past week called Night Freak, and it is an adventure game presented in the style of a PlayStation survival horror game. It doesn't really have the survival elements. It's just sort of an adventure game, and you are a young boy, probably about 7, who your parents are going away for the evening, and your older brother is going to throw a party at the house, and doesn't want you anywhere around it. And so you're going to have your own private party in the treehouse that you have. Oh, and a bunch of kids have been disappearing from the town lately. And, yeah. Little horror game, nicely paced, plays through it about an hour, sells for $1. This guy or gal, I don't know, Spring Rabbit, they have really nailed the appropriate length of time that one of these games should be. That it's you're in, you build tension, you toss in one good jump scare, and then you move on with your life. And I am totally on board with what they're doing. They have a great aesthetic. The kid you control in Night Freak is a little weird looking. He's in pajamas and he's short, but he's got his chest out like crazy and walks a little more awkwardly than a 7-year-old would. But what the heck? It's got that B quality, and the rest of their aesthetic ties into that really well. They present as like a VHS production company, and they have all these great old filters that work really well to affect the mood. You can have it CRT, you can have it be VHS based distortions. It's neat. And they're cheap, and they're short, and they're doing some neat stuff with it. So I would go check them out on itch. Spring Rabbit. I've played Nightwork now, and Channel 7, which is another one where you are a camera operator accompanying a journalist investigating like an old warehouse or something, an old industrial facility. Neat games, very cheap, really putting some love into them. I'm pretty impressed for what these things are. So I would go check that out. But that's all I've had time for this week.
Yeah. I've been playing a bunch of like little things this week. I'll get I guess the biggest one that I played this week out the way, because this is the Nintendo first party published and developed one. I've been playing Dragon Drive, or DragX Drive, the multiplayer online wheelchair basketball video game that is for Switch 2.
The totally not a wheelchair game. Don't say wheelchair game.
So, fun fact, Nintendo have acknowledged that my story I shared on this show is true, that there was an event at which Nintendo staff were telling people not to call them wheelchairs. Nintendo's response is, they put out a PR statement when reviews went out that said, it was something to the effect of, we never meant to deny that we were inspired by wheelchair basketball. There was simply a misunderstanding at a prior event. So, they definitely accidentally told everyone not to call them wheelchairs. We acknowledge they are wheelchairs. We're not going to call them wheelchairs in the game, but, we don't deny that they're wheelchairs. But yeah, Dragon Drive has come out, and I enjoy the fundamental mechanics enough, while thinking that this game has no chance at any kind of long-term life to it. I'll talk about like what it actually is before getting into all the problems with it. Fundamentally, it is 3v3 online matches of wheelchair basketball. You can be one of 3 different weight classes of character that basically determine your ability to knock the ball out of other people's hands versus your speed getting around the court. I think that the amount of speed you lose playing the heaviest character is a completely obvious trade-off to make. The characters are not balanced well at all. The lightest character basically cannot tackle the ball off other people. It is not fucking worth it to be the fast character. Just be a little slower and be able to actually get the ball off people. Your ability to score points is not based on, like, the motions of your throw. It is purely, how well did you line yourself up facing the net? How far away from the net are you? And are you currently moving when you make the shot? Those seem to be the factors. There's very little to it outside of the gimmick of the control scheme, which is you turn your two Joy-Cons sideways, you use them in mouse mode, you push them the way that you would a wheelchair. So you push the one on the right forward, you will start turning to the left, you push the left one forward, you'll start turning to the right, you push them both forward, you go forward, pull them both back, you go back. If that is an accessible control scheme for you, which it is not going to be for everyone, I do think it is an intuitive way to control that game. I think that, like, it makes a lot of sense, and the chaos of it can be fun. I would say anyone who wants to play this, playing on a table is going to get really uncomfortable on your shoulders real quick. You want to be playing this, like, on your legs. The problem with that being, you need to specifically be wearing leg wear that is, like, somewhat skin tight, like leggings or something. Because on leg wear that is looser, you will find that, like, bunching up trouser material will get in the way of you doing a smooth push forward, or will not register quite so well. You need to find a very specific amount of leg wear that you can smoothly glide over and won't bunch up. And if you don't have that precisely, playing on your legs does not work great. The biggest issues with this game, there is obviously, for a game that is aesthetically so much about the experience of a sport played heavily by disabled people, this game is not accessible mechanically to a lot of disabled people. There is no alternative to the motion-based control scheme. Mimicking the wheelchair wheel-pushing motions is the only way to play. And that is obviously inaccessible for people with pain, fatigue, motion, disabilities, but it's also fundamentally a barrier to the way I would kind of want to play this, because it's the fast-paced 3-minute matches, to me, are the kind of thing I want to be playing on the sofa in handheld mode while watching the telly. It's a quick distraction in between other things that I want to be doing as a second screen activity, the way that I would play something like Rocket League if I was going to play it. And having no handheld mode control scheme at all, and only having this motion-based control scheme, means that you kind of have to play it as a sit-down, this is the main thing you're doing for a dedicated session on the TV kind of game, and that just doesn't gel with the pace of play with this. The other problems this game, I think, fundamentally is going to face is lack of content and comparison to other titles. It is hard not to, while playing this, think of stuff like Rocket League that is also available on Switch, and I would prefer... I'm personally of the belief that I would prefer to just pay a little bit of money and have a game than to have a free-to-play game full of loot boxes. That is my personal preference, but I do know that you're going to get a lot more people in the door on a game that requires an online community to stay active with letting people come in the door for free. And I think that is compounded when you start comparing Drag and Drive to something like Rocket League that doesn't have a price of entry and has way more content variety than Drag and Drive does. Drag and Drive right now has 3v3 matches that are always in the same one grey concrete court. No other match modes, no other aesthetics for the court or designs of court. It's do 3-minute matches in the one grey concrete bowl. There is 2 other mini-games that you might get randomly paired into while you're trying to get into a match, which are a ball gets thrown and whoever gets it first got it first, and go do a bit of a slalom race. Both of these are not why you're playing the game. There's also, like, you can go do little time trials and try and be like, of the people you loaded into a multiplayer lobby with today, could you do this time trial fastest? You'll get a little crown, maybe. All of this, none of that is like a thing you're going to boot this game up for. You would be booting it up to play the 3v3 matches. And again, I think the 3v3 matches are fun, but the problem is, right now it is play a 3-minute match in the concrete tub, and then wait to do a 3-minute match in the concrete tub again. This game needs some kind of roadmap of, like, plans for more content and more types of... Even just things like, we slightly reshaped the arena, this time you load it into the hourglass-shaped arena rather than the oval. Like, tiny little things like that would really help this game, and right now are lacking. And I really think you're going to struggle to get people to pay 15-20 quid for this game for the 1 3-minute matches mode that you have to play with a very specific control scheme.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that is not what I want to hear.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, I'm having fun with it while I'm playing it, but I know I'm not going to play as much of it as I would if it just had a traditional control scheme option as well that I could play in handheld mode.
Yeah.
And just dick about with. What about you, Steph? You been playing anything else?
So I haven't played a great deal of it just because I ended up being sick, but I have started Mafia: The Old Country. There's a new Mafia game. I didn't even know.
It crept out.
Yeah, it's just out, and it looks very much like the kind of game where it's like they've not invested in it as much because it's not as big a franchise as it used to be.
Which is weird because it doesn't even feel like it was that big a franchise when it was a big franchise.
And the thing is, it's not bad. Like,
Right.
It doesn't look cheap and shitty. I can just tell it's just scaled itself back a bit. And it just makes me feel old as a human being in that I'm seeing these franchises that, like just
the ambition has been drained from them, just like us.
Yeah. They're just less ambitious than it used to be. I can't tell you much about the game so far because despite playing what I think has been 2 hours, I'm not out of what feels like the brief 20-minute tutorial that you get in these games. It's so slow to start. I think it might be open world, but I don't know yet because it's been such a linear thing. It starts with this character sort of in Sicily as a Caruso, sort of in the sulfur mines, being forced to work off his dad's debt. And, turmoil happens, he escapes, then starts working for this guy that's clearly a mafia don and all of that. But it takes so long to get there. And it's not uninteresting. The main character Enzo and sort of the relationship he's having with the daughter, with who's clearly, his father's protective and all that's going to end badly. Like, it's well done.
Do you want to know if it's an open world game or not?
Yes.
It's not an open world game, it's fully linear.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought that might be worth chiming in quickly. Out of Google, apparently it is completely linear.
That really speaks, because the Mafia games have never been linear.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily against it, but I think that speaks to exactly what I was talking about with the scaling back of things. That really compounds the idea that this is something that they've got the name, they've got ideas. This doesn't seem fully cynical. It just feels like it does not have the investment and faith behind it that it might have had.
It feels, from having a quick read, like it might have been planned to be open world and they changed their mind, because apparently it has something called free ride mode. That is, you can go for like a drive in the big world and there won't be loading screens, but there's like nothing to do out there.
Right.
It seems like this might have been open world that they cut the open world out of.
Yeah, wouldn't shock me. It feels very much like that. But I do want to emphasize it doesn't feel cheap per se. Clearly not, up there in terms of graphics and animations and all of that. It does have a sort of dated vibe, but character models are nice and expressive. The performances are really good so far. The gameplay seems very 7th Gen 101. I've already gone through the sort of stealth tutorial, and 2 knife fight tutorials for some reason. Didn't need 2. But very, very straightforward slash stab, parry, dodge the unparryable attack kind of thing. And that's it, really. Like, I can't say much because, yeah, I'm trying to get to the point where I feel like the game started. But that might have been a function of assuming there'd be an open world at some point. Maybe this is,
Yeah.
you know?
That's why I thought it worth chiming in with. I'm like, this feels like it might skew your opinions a little.
Yeah, that does change things. And not necessarily for the worse. In fact, that might improve the way I'm approaching it.
It might feel less like you've been stuck in a long tutorial and, oh, no, okay, this is what the game is. I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I think that's going to help now that I know that. I do think it's still quite slow. Like, I haven't had a proper combat sequence yet. After what I think is 2 hours, I've finally been given a gun, and it wasn't loaded. It was just to aim at someone while we do a protection racket thing. I think that's about where I left off before the sickness just forced me to go to ground. Speaking of which, I do think I've got to bow out now.
No worries.
Having to interact is active suffering. And I do want to apologise to the listeners for basically, you know, what's now been 3 episodes of like either not being here or being here briefly and being here on having to literally phone it in by being on a like remote, not being at my computer and that. I do feel really bad for that because I did not intend for my break away from video work to impact everything else so much, but the moving house has been so stressful, and then I'm sick, and so I've not done the reviews I wanted to do. I did get one up for House of the Dead 2, which is another game I played, but, you know, read the review on the Jimquisition.com. Basically, it's a huge disappointment. They took House of the Dead 2, which is famous for one thing, hilariously shit voice acting, and they took it out.
Oh.
They redubbed it, but not to either lean into the camp or do proper good voice acting. It's still equally as fucking terrible. It's just not camp anymore. I don't know. It's utterly baffling because it's really bad. But it went from funny bad to just really bad. And it's had features removed since the first House of the Dead remake. Like, photo mode's not there. It controls worse. There's no aim assist anymore. There's just missing feature. It's just really disappointing. But anyway, yes, I'm very sorry to the listeners and the patrons that I've not done everything I planned to do. It's just been... This has been one of the most stressful periods ever. And if you've tracked me for long enough, then you know how prone to stress my life can be. So it says quite a lot. But I am hoping once I get over this illness and things have settled down, like we're still in the process of unpacking. It's been an absolute shit show. But things will be worth it. This is a nicer environment and it's going to be nice. And yeah, so thank you everyone for your patience. And I will be back here next week and hopefully in a much better state of mind and body. Thank you. And thank you, as always, to Conrad and Laura. Thank you so much for holding down the fort as well.
Oh, we got this. It's all good.
Okay. Bye.
Right. Conrad, you been playing anything else this week?
No, literally have not had the time. What about you?
I've been playing a couple of little interesting things that I think are worth talking about that are both completely free games that can be played in about 15 minutes. The first one is called Calm the Storm, and it is a prototype game that is on Steam that is a sort of proof of concept for doing a choose-your-own adventure in the form of almost like a choose-your-own-adventure podcast. It is a story told entirely through audio or on-screen subtitles, if you find that more accessible, where every time you reach a branch in this narrative, you can either click on screen to select what narrative branch you want to take, or you can say 1 or 2 into a microphone to select your choices, so that it can be played entirely with audio and voice if, using a mouse is inaccessible for you. Really interesting little proof of concept. It is this exploration of supernatural creatures through a modern world lens with some good queer character writing in it. I've enjoyed the writing. I think that there is an interesting gimmick for the ability of, like, one of the main characters that is, like, it's a unique take on a power to give a protagonist that I haven't seen done elsewhere. It very much feels like the prologue to a longer story that hasn't been told. I think it's an interesting little experiment, and it's well worth checking out. If you've got 15 minutes and, like, experimental video game mechanics to play around with and some nice story. I've also been playing another one that is free on Steam that I played this morning, called This Game Will End in 205 Clicks. It is a visual novel that, as the name implies, will end in 205 clicks, and you have a counter in the bottom right that tells you exactly how far you are through playing this little visual novel, that is about a queer-coded villain in, like, a Saturday morning 90s cartoon having a day off from being fought by the heroes, and having this day of not doing big evil crime, and not knowing what to do with themselves when they are not doing their work that they do every day.
Oh, that's relatable. Ooh.
Yeah, that exploration of what am I outside of my work, but it is also an exploration of a side character in a narrative becoming aware that they are having their moment of being in the spin-off where they're the main character for a moment, and the terror of, oh god, I have a fleeting opportunity to seize this moment, and that time is flying past me. And that existential fear of, oh, is this my one moment to make shit happen, and it's just suddenly slipping through my fingers faster than I can account for? And an exploration of what it means to be a villain in a piece of child-friendly media, having certain edges of characterization sanded off. It explores some really interesting stuff in, as I say, 205 clicks worth of narrative. It is maybe 15 minutes long. It feels like a really well-told, like, self-contained story. I really recommend checking it out. It clearly exists to be a teaser for an upcoming project that studio is working on. It's from the team that made Of Stars and Time, which is that time loop RPG that I talked about a couple of years ago. I don't know. I think it was after you joined the show here.
I think so. Yeah.
That was my game of the year for, I think, 2023. And yeah, it continues to reassure me, like, this team is doing really interesting stuff with the form of video games. And I really think it's worth checking out. And the other one I played in terms of, like, short little games is my wife Jane has been developing video games recently. She's been developing Pico 8 games. And the most recent one she's done that is available online is called Hop Havoc. And the gist is, you are a frog on a lily pad, and another lily pad will appear in one of 4 cardinal directions while the one underneath you is starting to sink. So all you do is you press the direction you want to face, press X to jump to the next lily pad before the previous one sinks, and it will get faster and faster as it goes, so you have less and less time to register the new direction and jump before you potentially sink and lose a life. It is a really simple, just high score chaser that ramps up in the speed you need to be acting at a very, I think, a really good pace. It is a fun little classic style high score chaser. I had a lot of fun with it. I intended to play it for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a look before I have to start stream. I started stream late so that I can play a bit more of it. So yeah, Hop Havoc is a fun thing that my wife made.
Well, how is she finding the Pico 8, like, development environment? Because I've been curious, I've been interested to poke around, and I just haven't made the leap yet.
Really approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's been, like, playing around with that, and with, they do some stuff with, some of it's to do with Lua script, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, like, a very approachable script for, like, to my understanding, lots of the syntax is, like, very easily memorable code syntax, which is, you know, always
That's
good.
half the battle.
That's half the battle, is just, like, being able to lock in the logic of what words will have what impact in code. But yeah, she's been like really like cracking out games like pretty effectively for Pico 8 stuff. Which also, I didn't know you can distribute Pico 8 games as a PNG.
Yep.
That's just very cool to me. I think that's very cool.
Yep.
So yeah, she's been really getting on well with that as a place to be making games. She made one recently called Number Go Up, that is just a cookie clicker style. You mash to make the thing go up, and you can try and get upgrades to make the thing go up faster. It is the most pure. You are just trying to mash fast enough to get the number to reach the top of the screen. But again, she's been having a lot of fun with making like these kind of charming, very basic little projects. So yeah, go check those out. Maybe I'll try and send some links over for where they can be found. Yeah, should we talk about a couple of newsy bits quickly before we wrap this week?
Yep, let's do it.
In a story that like should surprise no one, but I'm always surprised every time it happens because this has happened multiple times already. McDonald's in Japan had a recent promotion where if you bought a Happy Meal, you could get a unique Pikachu trading card with your Happy Meal. They ended the promotion after a single day because huge numbers of people all across Japan were buying meals, taking out the Pokemon card, and just abandoning bags of food in the streets.
Oh God, yes, thank you. This, you're welcome. As an American, your conspicuous consumption is our gift to you. You're welcome.
The thing that makes this funny is this is not the first time McDonald's has had this exact same fucking problem, specifically with Happy Meals including Pokemon cards. They had this problem, I think, last summer in the UK. They've had this happen in the US, and every time it's the same thing that happens. People buy like 15 Happy Meals, take the Pokemon cards out, and just leave McDonald's in the street uneaten. And I think, my guess is that McDonald's corporate were like, yeah, but Japan has like a culture of like, it's incredibly frowned upon to leave to leave trash in the streets. Like it is considerably more of a social taboo than it is in some of these other countries. We can probably expect a degree of respectfulness if we run that. Nope, happened again.
Amazing.
Happened again. People buying huge amounts of food and going like, I have the food in my hand. I could just eat the food. I'm not even gonna eat the food that is here in my hand. I don't even want it. I just want the cards.
Your product is so valueless. We are only interested in the thing that you are giving away for free with it.
I won't even eat the food if it's already paid for and in my hand and hot, still ready to be eaten. I still won't do it.
Damn, that is a brutal indictment of McDonald's food. And their food over there, like McDonald's over there, is not bad. Like, it's not bad. I've had a hot dog at a McDonald's in Japan, and not bad.
Yeah. Additional stories we got this week. Have you seen any of the news about Light of Motiram?
Light of Motiram? No. Is this a game about being a moth culture that is attracted to lamps?
No. If you scroll up in our Discord, you might notice one of the articles has an image that looks a lot like Horizon Zero Dawn as the article artwork.
Oh, yes, I see that, yeah.
Yeah, you see that piece of artwork that looks...
I see the headline reads, Slavish Horizon Clone.
So Tencent has a development studio called Polaris Quest who have been developing a game for a while. They announced it in late 2024 called Light of Motiram. And Sony took a little bit of umbrage with that key art because it sure does look like Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West or Zero Dawn in a jungle forest world full of robot dinosaurs wearing her sort of robotic headpiece, what she wears, and having the same hair color as her and wielding a bow. And it looks a lot like Sony's big first-party game, what they make.
I can see how someone would look at this and say, gosh, is that Horizon?
Yeah, I can see how someone would look at that and go, oh, did Horizon 3 get announced?
Like, this is definitely a brand confusion type situation. So often you look at these things where someone claims, like, oh, people are going to get confused whether this is our product or not. And you're like, oh, come on. No, right here, clear as day, no doubt in my mind.
This is not when Nintendo tried to sue Super Mario, the Brazilian
right.
Grocery store. This is brand confusion. So Sony recently announced that they were going to be filing a lawsuit to do with this game, and yeah, within days of that lawsuit getting announced, Tencent quietly got rid of all of the very Horizon Zero Dawn looking key art from all of their online store pages. They've also changed their description. The description for the game used to be, in a world overrun by colossal machines, explore the vast open world, build your base of operations, advance technology, train mechanimals, and take on formidable bosses.
No, gameplay-wise, it doesn't sound at all similar, frankly.
Yeah.
Aesthetically.
Yeah, it now just says, make smart use of everything around you to stay alive and face off formidable bosses. Every step is fraught with danger and requires coverage.
Well, now it sounds more like Horizon.
It does, but they've taken out anything that references, like, open world game with big robot dinosaurs. They've taken that shit out of the description.
But they've also taken out anything that distinguished it.
Yeah, they have. They've also taken down a number of trailers as well. It seems like they are trying to go, can we not get sued if we just, like, we throw away the plagiarism? If we pretend it didn't happen, will it be okay?
Oh, yikes.
We got one more story that I think is worth talking about today. I can quickly do, which is, you know how PlayStation was going all in over the last couple of years on live service games?
I do.
I think they talked about the fact they wanted to have, like, 10 live service games in the next 5 years during some investor call a while back.
When they can't even sustain 2, right, yeah.
Yeah, well, funny thing about that, they are now acknowledging that, their live service strategy is, quote, not entirely going smoothly. Yeah, this is according to Chief Financial Officer Lin Tao, who acknowledges a string of high-profile flops, delays, and cancellations. After, back in 2022, they were like, yep, we're going all in on this. They've also confirmed that, you know how they said that Bungie would be able to remain independent on the stuff they worked on after they got acquired by PlayStation?
Sure, yeah, no, we're just gonna let them do whatever they want, it's gonna be fine. You can count on all of the Bungie products having no interference whatsoever.
Yeah, well, their independence is, quote, set to be reduced as it is being made into, they're being put into PlayStation Studios.
Yeah.
They're being folded in.
Of course they are. Because that only happened, that was only said to make the audiences stop being, like, freaked out about a storied developer once again selling themselves to one of the big three. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different this time, guys, we promise.
Yeah. To give you more of that quote, we recognize that there are still issues. Many issues. So we should learn lessons from mistakes and make sure that we introduce live service content where there's less waste and it's more smooth. I mean, yeah, you should make live service content that isn't wasted and that people want.
Yeah.
It would be great if all of it was unbloated and smoothly received, yeah?
Yeah, no, that'd be wonderful. Well, the trick is to just make less of it. That's the thing. You've tried to make too much of this shit. If you put the resources of 5 of these games into one of them, and you just took your time and accepted that it's not all going to come at once, but you will make a shit ton of money if you properly devote the resources to the one product that you know can hold. Not 3, not 5, not 10. You get it into one good product, maybe a second one if you need to have some sort of, like, gameplay diversity, but there needs to be a good justification. You might as well leave that other gameplay type to a different publisher, because you only have the bandwidth for one of these things.
Well,
so make it good.
the way they see it is they have 4 successful live services.
Really?
They apparently... So their view is Helldivers 2,
Okay.
MLB, they consider a live service.
That's a choice, okay.
Gran Turismo 7, they consider a live service.
Also a choice.
And Destiny 2, that they purchased an already successful live service.
So you have 2. And Helldivers itself, like, in terms of the demand that game puts on live service development, feels like a little bit lower in terms of, like, what you need to be putting into it to keep that going, to keep that train going. Like, not to diminish it, but in terms of adding content, it feels like it's easier to do that. It's easier to string that out over a long period of time without a lot of expense.
And again, I wouldn't even say Helldivers 2 was a smooth live service experience for them. Do you remember when they put it on PC and completely pissed off the PC audience by mandating PSN sign-in and making it unplayable in several countries as a result, and saw a big exodus of their player base over it?
I'm less interested in whether or not it's, smooth so much as continues to exist. That's
I
the
agree
thing.
with you, but I also think it's a stretch for them to put it on a list of, like, not troubled live services they've had.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I would put it a little bit in the camp of still, like, even when you had a hit on your hands, you didn't understand the desires of that space well enough to work within the expectations of what that community would accept.
Yeah.
It was still not a sign that you understand the ins and outs of the live service space, I would argue. But yeah, I think that's it for News Bits this week.
What a great episode. What fantastic content we have made here. And, there is more fantastic content out there, and Laura, you're making a lot of it. Tell the people where they can find that.
They can find that at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere that they find stuff on the internet. This week there is a new Control-Alt-Access that'll be up by the time you hear this, talking about all sorts of video game accessibility stuff. There's a new episode of Accessibility talking about Drag and Drive in more extensive depth. I got a whole bunch of stuff happening, but the big one right now, if you would like to pick up the audiobook, ebook, and all of the high-quality art prints for Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, that book where I got a bunch of people in the video game industry to write very thoughtful butt reviews, go to laurakbuzzstore.com. You can find it there as a bundle. You can get the ebook, the audiobook, and all of the art prints all in one go. Go check that out. What about you, Conrad? Where are you out on the internet?
Oh, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky. You can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman, where I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays, playing a lot of Spelunky, but some other stuff as well. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. We have Fist Shark shirts for that now 10-year-old podcast that hasn't made an episode in 9, so there you go. And everything that I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And Laura, you know who else has a Patreon?
Who?
Stephanie Sterling. That's patreon.com/Jimquisition. That supports this show. It supports the reviews over at thejimquisition.com. It supports the Jimquisition video program, which will be back from hiatus in the near future. You can also follow Steph on Instagram and Blue Sky at Commander Sterling. Jim Sterling on Twitch, if and when they get their house in order and can get back to streaming. Date Everything and Quantum Witch available now wherever fine video games are sold. Steph did writing on both of them. They're both good, fun games. We encourage you to check them out. And I think that's it for us. So thank you everybody for listening. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.